I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Fox had Donald Trump on yet again. This is the third day in a row that they featured Donald Trump just spewing the most bizarre and deranged stuff and platforming this individual that hates the United States of America. But let's face it, Fox is a propaganda network that hates the United States of America and mocks their viewers. I want to show you this clip from Hannity's part 3 of his interview with Donald Trump. And in this video, Hannity calls it the lightning round. And so these interviews have devolved into something even beneath the softball interview. You almost want to call it like a massage interview, if you will, because you have the interviewer no longer even tossing out a question, but literally just rubbing Donald Trump's disgusting fascist-infested back. And at this point, you literally have Hannity just saying words, and he calls it the lightning round because Donald Trump isn't capable of actually answering a question. So in the lightning round, Hannity's like, I'm just going to say names, and I want you to respond to the name. So, for example, Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, the mullahs of Iran. I'm going to play for you the clip and you'll just see how completely unhinged this gets. But a few comments that I want you to focus on. The first is that every one of the United States enemies, Donald Trump absolutely gets along with. So Putin, Xi, Kim, he speaks in flattering terms. Got along with them? Great. Got along with them? Great. Then when he talks about Schumer and Mitch McConnell, he talks about them in a negative light. I want you to watch how he responds and talks about Kanye West. And he basically explains that when Kanye West was over my house, he wasn't saying the anti-Semitic things. And by the way, I'm too busy reading about Putin and Xi to even be focused on Kanye West. Then finally, you'll see when he talks about President Obama, Donald Trump goes, you know what? I don't really know him. Don't know much about him. What in the world is going on here? So let me play for you this clip and just and watch it. Then we'll talk about it after the break. Play the clip.
I'm going to give names and give me quick, short sentences, narratives, whatever comes to your mind. Putin.
Well, I'm going to have to go a little short, but I got along with him great. Had I been president, he would have been much better off because he wouldn't have gone into Ukraine. But ultimately, he's going to take over all of Ukraine.
Xi.
A man I got along with him great until COVID came in. We would have been able to work together very well. I made an unbelievable deal for our farmers and manufacturers where China was giving us $50 billion a year to our farmers and our manufacturers.
Kim Jong-un.
Again, got along with him great. People don't want to hear that. A lot of people say, that's terrible to get along with him great. When somebody has nuclear weapons that can blow up the world, it's nice to get along. I got along with him great.
Mullahs of Iran.
Different story. They're religious zealots, and I think they might behave. You know, when you mention Kim Jong-un, he's not crazy. He's very smart.
Do you think any of these people are evil? Like, I look at Putin, what he's doing in Ukraine is evil.
Well, if I were there, he wouldn't have been doing it, so he would have been better off, and the world would have been better off.
I look at China and the way they treat minorities there as, you know, modern day.
You know, inflation was caused by energy. Yeah. When we turned off our energy prices went up. It caused inflation, and that was a whole big thing. And Russia became rich. Yeah. Think of it. Russia became rich. Russia made a lot of money, more money than the cost of them prosecuting this war. Yeah. Think of it. And we didn't have to do that.
Schumer.
I knew him a long time from New York. Always got along with him great until I became president.
McConnell.
Not good. A tremendous liability for the Republican Party and for the nation because he approved so much for Biden. It was almost as if the Democrats had something on him. Tremendous liability for both the nation and for the Republican Party.
Kanye, now that you know some of the things that he thinks and says.
Well, you know, when I was with him, he didn't say that. And when he asked me to have dinner because he needed some help, right. I didn't say, well, what's the problem? So I didn't know anything about his attitude toward, I'm not reading about Kanye, I'm reading about President Xi, and I'm reading about Putin and Kim Jong-un. I'm not reading exactly about Kanye West.
Right.
But when he came here, I think and I will say this, he didn't say anything about anti-Semitism or anything else. And if he would have done that, I would not have been a happy camper.
Barack Obama.
Don't know him well.
I mean, it is one of the most deranged rants that you'll hear right there of Donald Trump just talking about these individuals and talking about, how smart Putin is and how smart Xi is. And, by the way, who Donald Trump didn't get along with? Like all of our allies, right? And so while he speaks glowingly of all of these dictators, he got along quite poorly, as United States Democratic Representative Brendan Boyle explained, with our allies like Germany and France and Britain. But he did get along well with Russia, China, and North Korea. Now, here is another clip of Donald Trump from this same interview, where he's talking about some of the things that he believes are his accomplishments. And like you'll see, he just talks about, he goes, I did things that were the greatest in history, the greatest in history. Everything was the greatest. The economy was the greatest in history. Like everything he says is a complete and utter lie. And you go on this propaganda network, Fox, and they just platform this complete and utter nonsense. Like every single word I'm about to play for you that he says is a total and utter lie. And he tries to act like he's done some cutting edge stuff when it comes to healthcare. Remember when he said, I'm going to have a plan that's better than Obamacare. I'm going to introduce it in 2 weeks. Never introduced it. You remember when he said, I have the infrastructure plan. I'm going to introduce it in 2 weeks. Never introduced the infrastructure plan. Meanwhile, President Biden, in his first 2 years, passed historic legislation after historic legislation, bill after bill after bill, worked its way through. Both houses were signed into law by Biden, and he's done fundamentally massive things for our country, where Donald Trump did absolutely nothing other than to harm our country, to harm our economy, to only focus on tax cuts for the billionaires, crushing workers under the Trump administration. Those are just the objective facts, and adding $7 trillion to our deficit. Those are the facts, objective facts. But of course, the propaganda network known as Fox, they're not going to say anything here. Just watch this despicable portion of this interview with Hannity. Play the clip.
We had, just prior to COVID coming in, I had done things, the greatest in the history of the world, actually, and we were starting to get along with the other side. Radical left people were calling me for lunch. African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans. Everybody had a job. Everybody. We were booming. Far more jobs than you have today. We were booming. And then COVID came in, and I had to do it a second time. And when I handed it over, the stock market, which practically crashed, as it should, but when I took it over, when I had to hand it over, the stock market was higher than just prior to COVID coming in. Nobody can believe it. Mm-hmm. But what I did, so many different things, Sean. It's very hard to say specifically. For instance, one thing I did that I love, Right to Try. People were terminally ill. So many lives have been saved. Nobody ever talks about it. People were terminally ill. They were going to die. But we have a medicine or biotech.
And they want to take a risk. Give them a shot.
We can't give it to them because they may die. They're terminally ill. They're going to be dead in a month. It was very hard. They've been trying to get it for 54 years. I got it approved. So now if somebody's very sick, we're allowed to use some of our very far out things, which won't be approved for another 3 or 4 or 5 years by the FDA.
All right,
you know how many lives I've saved with it? So we've done so much. But
that was a big deal.
Well, I'll tell you what, I rebuilt our military, but I also added Space Force. And Space Force, I created a new branch of the United States military. That's a big thing. We did a lot of big things.
It is utterly disgusting that Fox even has a platform to do that. It is pure filth. It is filth. It is propaganda being injected into the arms of their viewers, into their veins of their viewers, each and every day, each and every hour, each and every moment. That's not news. That's not even just entertainment. That is just false information. It is weird fascist cosplay cult worship for a sick, deranged, psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic traitor. And the whole Fox network is a network of traitors. That's what they are. And privately, those idiots like Hannity, those idiots like Tucker, those idiots like Laura Ingraham, behind the back of their viewers, they mock their viewers. They are laughing. They all live in New York. They want to mock New York. They all live in penthouses and mansions in New York, although they'll say they hate New York. They all dine in the top restaurants. They all live lavish lifestyles. And behind the scenes, we have their text messages. We have their under oath depositions. All of the people who watch them, they mock those people. They mock Donald Trump. They mock it all, but they hoist it up. They're willing to destroy our democracy for what? For more money, for more houses, for more jets. It is utterly pathetic, and we're sick and tired of it. We're not going to take it anymore. The pro-democracy community is not going to take it more. Look, there's a reason more people watch this network. There's a reason more people watch the MeidasTouch network on a daily basis than watch Fox. Those are the stats. Those are the stats. Put us against Fox any day, and more people watch this. Why? Because people are sick and tired. One of large media networks gaslighting them with the both sides crap. And on the other hand, people are sick and tired of that propaganda fascist nonsense and want the truth. We'll bring it to you. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1,500,000 subscribers. Thanks to your support. We passed 1 million already. Hit subscribe. It's free on YouTube, so please hit subscribe. Also, check us out on patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Unlike Fox with Rupert Murdoch billionaire money, we're solely funded based on your support through our Patreon account. So if you go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, that's one of the ways you can help contribute to help grow this independent platform. We don't have outside investors. Also, wherever you get your audio podcasts, search MeidasTouch Podcast. Subscribe, it's free. Check us out on Instagram at MeidasTouch. Check us out at all social media at MeidasTouch. And subscribe here on our YouTube, it's free. Till next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Lock him up! Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.MeidasTouch.com.